Hello, and welcome to School to Homeschool. My name is Janae Daniels. I'm a wife, a mother of 6, and a former middle school teacher turned homeschool mom. I have kids in their 20s all the way down to elementary age and everything in between. Are you thinking about pulling your kids from the public school system like I did, but you are scared to death and don't know what to do next? My friends, I felt the exact same way, and you have come to the right place. I want to help your family leave the system so that you can take the hearts and minds of your children back. Hello, my friends. Welcome back. This is Janae Daniels. I'm the host of the School to Homeschool podcast. I'm excited to have you here today. So next week, I'm going to be issuing a very cool, simple challenge, but I will give the details on that next week. It's going to be a surprise. But this week, I wanted to talk about starting anew and starting afresh, not only for people thinking about homeschooling starting now, but also for those of y'all who are like itching to change up your homeschooling a little bit. We're going to talk about freshening things up, because this is a perfect time to start fresh with things. So let's first talk. I first want to talk to you all that are thinking about homeschooling, or I'm like, you're teetering and you're like, do I do it now? Do I just pull the kids as soon as the school district opens back up before the winter break? Or do I wait until the end of the year and do it at the beginning of the year? And I will tell you, after having been a person who did it at the beginning of the school year, now is actually a perfect time. This is why. At the beginning of the school year, there's still this hope that things will be different or things will be better, whether your kids were bullied or you just had a bad experience with the schools, or the kids are feeling anxiety because they're behind, or just, whatever the reason that you're homeschooling is. The beginning of the year, there's always this hope like things are going to get better. Things are going to be different. Things are, that the system is going to be different. In my case, I'm a COVID convert, and I knew things were going to be different. And that's one of the reasons we decided to homeschool, is because I was like, I do not want my kids, 12 feet away from other kids with shields around them and wearing masks in a classroom. I'd rather have the freedom of just being at home and the kids can play. And, that was one of the reasons we started. So, and at the time, my kids I had 2 adult children who had graduated from high school. And then I had 13, 12, the 8 and 4 were their ages when we started homeschooling. So a couple were just about to go in high school. Anyway, but I remember that first, like the beginning of the year, I felt this, oh my gosh, what if I make a mistake and they're going to miss out on all these things? And everyone was walking to school and and I felt this anxiety and fear of missing out. And, all these thoughts were going through my head. And then every year since, it's lessened a great deal over the last 4.5 years, but I'd still feel that like, oh, everyone's going and doing the thing with their kids and they're walking their kids and they're going to have such a great school year and all the new backpacks and all the new school supplies, and you feel anxiety that first few weeks of school. And there's always that hope like things are going to get better. But here's what happens. School gets going, and then you find out it's not getting better and it's not any different. And it's the same kids that were in the classes last year are in the classes this year. And maybe you like them, maybe you don't. It might be new teachers, but it's the same system. It's the exact same system that was set up in 1852, except for they've extended school days and jacked up our whole learning process. That's for another podcast. If you haven't listened to my other podcasts, I talk about the history of the system a little bit throughout the podcast. The history of our education system in the United States, just so you know, is nefarious. It's not good. So as much as we want to tout the system, it's never been designed to make our children become the best educated versions of themselves. It just wasn't. It wasn't. It was actually created to dumb us down. But that's for another time. Anyway, you get to winter break and your kids are tired, you're tired, Burnout's already in full swing, and all of the excitement is of the new school year is completely worn off, which makes winter break the perfect time to start homeschooling. Because when you start homeschooling, the first thing that you do is go through a deschooling process, which is the adjustment period where you from public schooling to homeschooling, because homeschooling should look very, 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 very different than the public school system. And it's most effective. If you try to replicate school at home, you will have mutiny on your hands. I learned that the hard way. And everybody I know who tries it that way also has mutiny on their hands. And that is like strict schedules. You're going to follow textbooks and curriculums and all the things. So right now is the perfect time because you can go through the deschooling process. During this process, you're going to do very little what looks like school. And these are the three things that, and I say this in a lot of the episodes, the three things that you're going to want to do are you going to want to read aloud to the kids every day and have them read a little bit each day. Then you're going to want to have them do a little bit of math and then a little bit of writing. And just to start off writing, if they're really little, have them pick a couple words and they copy those words. If they're older, choose passages from a book that you like or a cereal box or a recipe and have them copy it. In the homeschooling world, that's called copy work. It's a Charlotte Mason principle. But that's what you're going to start with. Even if you don't know what you're doing, it's okay. The rest of the time, you're going to focus on things that they might be interested in learning. Maybe they want to learn the guitar. Maybe they are interested in learning a piano piece, or maybe they want to do art, or maybe they want to spend some time outside. But let them work on the things that they love to do. I did limit my kids' screen time as far as video games goes, because I'm like, guys, this is not going to help you. But I did allow my kids to get on and learn how to animate and things like that. So totally cool to limit their video game and their screen time, right? So the three things you're going to do is read with them, have them write something, and have them do a little bit of math. You could get an online math program. You could use Khan Academy. It's free. But just do 10 or 15 minutes of math a day, right? Cook. And then go to museums and watch documentaries and explore some of the subjects that they've been interested in learning. Maybe they want to study Minecraft and you get some Minecraft books, or maybe they want to learn to code. And so you sign them up for some sort of a free coding class or whatever. Spend time at the library. This is the time that you have for the next 6 months to help them get back their self-esteem, to help them regain a love for learning. They're going to be tired, so they're going to sleep more, totally normal, especially the teenagers. But this is the opportunity that they have to go through the deschooling process while everyone else in public school are on the last leg of the school year. And as a teacher, it's the second semester is always really hard. I was a teacher, and second semester was a bear every time. It's a bear because everyone's tired and they're ready to be done. And by April, mentally, the kids are done. And so even the last few weeks in May, there's not a lot of learning happening. And half the time there's standardized testing. So teachers are freaking out about that, right? So this is the perfect time to start because the excitement is worn off, and now it's time to help them regain a love of learning and to go through a period of emotional rest. It's kind of cool. Now, for those of us who have been homeschooling, this is a time to refresh things and try new things. Y'all, I did something super dumb. Well, I haven't decided if it was dumb or if it was smart, but I really we've needed to get our carpets cleaned for a long time. And this company in town that my husband really, really likes, he refers a lot, was offering this huge discount if you booked by December 31st. Well, a week and a half ago, I was like, December 31st is coming up really quick. So I'm going to get our carpets cleaned. So I called the company and I said, is there any way we could get in before December 31st? He said, yes, but we're booked every day except the day after Christmas. And I said, I'll take it. Y'all. So Christmas Day was wonderful. Christmas Eve was wonderful. It was lovely. We had a lovely day, couple days. And the day after Christmas, I woke everyone up like at 5:00 in the morning. I'm like, get out of bed. We have to clean the whole house and take down all of the Christmas decor. We have 2 trees, both trees in the basement, put away all the ornaments, put away everything, and get everything off the floors. We didn't have to move the furniture, thankfully, but we did have to like put everything away and put it away fast. And it was the day after Christmas. So I was freaking out. My kids were freaking out. They told me they'd start in the basement when I talked to them to schedule. So I'm like, okay, we'll take down the tree in the basement. And we don't have a ton of decorations in the basement for Christmas, just the tree mostly. And it's the kids' tree that they put all of the all the ornaments that they get every year that we give them. And, each year my kids get an ornament so that when they leave the house someday, they'll have 18 ornaments. And then they continue to get ornaments. So they just hang them up. And then it's all the school ornaments and all the picture. That's the tree for it. So the kids put away the ornaments and the people got there just as we finished putting the tree up on the shelf in the storage room. And they started the basement. And then I went to the second floor. And we've got 3 floors. We've got 2 floors and a basement. And so we went to the second floor, took down, and that's where most of Christmas is, took down all the decorations. I told the kids, you go get stuff off your floors. My room I had already done, and I had cleaned it last week. So I was like, okay, that's good. But y'all, it was a nightmare of a day. And then we couldn't sleep on our beds. Thankfully, I didn't put much on our bed. So I was just moved that into where we have hardwood and tile. And so I was able to sleep on my kids couldn't sleep on the beds. So they had to sleep on the couches in the basement because everything was covered with stuff, clothes and laundry baskets and all of this stuff. And so then I went about decluttering and cleaning and all the things. We got the carpets cleaned. The kids stayed up way too late that night because they were all in the basement on the couches, not on the floors. They couldn't be on the floors watching movies. They had a blast. But I went to bed exhausted because I literally spent the whole day like working on one floor at a time as fast as I could. And it took the carpet cleaners roughly 6 hours to get through the whole house and they had to treat, all the things. And so that morning I felt so stressed. That night I felt this sense of clean and relief and just this excitement to declutter my house. So I decluttered one drawer in my bathroom and I went around decluttering, getting out clothes in my closet that I haven't worn for a long time. Great news. This is my big exciting news because it relates to my closet. I gave away the last items of things that I had when I was 229 pounds. And yesterday I clocked in at 139 pounds, which is 90 pounds down. It's taken me 20 months. And so it was very cathartic for me to get rid of all of the clothes that I've held on to, the remaining clothes that I held on to. And I took a big, huge bin out of the house of the rest of the clothes. And I have some new, beautiful clothes in my current size. And it felt so good to start afresh. And then my husband and I yesterday ordered this calendar. It's called the Big A calendar. And the A stands for a swear word. Jesse Itzler, he's a social media guy, sells them. And it's this huge calendar. And my husband and I are like, we are going to plan out all of the vacations for the whole year. We're going to put all the things on it for the whole year. And I felt this just fresh renewal of excitement and energy for life. And it felt so good. So this right now, my friends, is a perfect time to start afresh. If there's something that you want to shift or try new, this is the time to do it. Now, I don't really want to talk about goal setting necessarily because I started losing weight in May. Like there's been a million times that I've tried doing New Year's resolutions only to within 2 weeks to feel like a failure already. So I started my weight loss journey in May. I started homeschooling in August. I started my podcast in a July. So like it 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 we don't have to set goals just in January. As a matter of fact, I was reading an article that said like that gyms increase by like 90% the first 2 weeks in January, and then they go back to their normal membership and their normal stuff. So, and I saw that this morning. I went to work out at the gym. I walked in and every single machine was in use. And I go to a small gym that's not big. There's not a million members. I see the exact same people there every single day. And today, there, like, I've never had to wait for a machine ever. And all of them were in use. And I'm like, oh, here we are. Okay. So I went down and asked the front desk, I'm like, when do people not come in? And they're like, after 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. So I'm like, okay. They're like dinner time and like 8 p.m. people aren't here. I'm like, perfect. I will come back. Let's hope people aren't there. So people, like, we make these big like goals, and usually we make too many goals and then we end up failing. So for me, like when I decided to lose weight, it wasn't like I planned for weeks and weeks and weeks. It was like, okay, I have to do something. I'm watching my parents die. Their health is horrible. My husband had decided a couple days before that he was going to hire these trainers. And that night I said, okay, I'm going to do this. And my husband's like, when are you starting? I said, I have to start now. I can't start tomorrow. It has to be now. So I contacted the trainers. We talked that night. They gave me the meal plan. The next day I started the weight training, signed up for what I needed to. And I realized if you're going to start a goal, you start it now. Don't put it off. Right. So for homeschooling, if you're thinking about homeschooling, do it now. Do it now. Pull them now. If the school district's closed and you can't pull them yet, fine. Wait till it goes back into the session, but start with them now. But if there is something that you're like, if you are going to set a big goal and you want to do something fresh and new, then just do one. That's something that has taken me all these years to discover is I can't do a million things. I can only focus on one thing at a time. One. There's a book out called Essentialism, which is funny because I actually know the author. We worked together back in college. Greg McEwen. We called him Q back then. But in Essentialism, he talks about like you only do the essential things and let everything else go, right? Focus on the essential things. Gary Keller, he's a real estate guy, wrote the book, The One Thing, right? What happens is we tend to put too much on our plates and then nothing happens, or at least that's how it's been for me. And so when I decided to lose weight, it wasn't in January, it was in May. It was actually April 30th. I talked to the trainers, April 30th, and then that night at 9 p.m. And then the next morning, I officially started at the gym because I couldn't go to the gym that night. But I only worked on one thing. And my husband's like, what other goals are you going to work on? I'm like, nothing. This is my goal. This is it. This is the whole goal. I am going to work on my health. And then it was a few months later that I had been thinking about doing a podcast, and finally said, okay, I've now gotten into the routine of my health journey. Now I can add something else, but I can only focus on that one thing. That's it for right now because it's new and it's scary and it's all the things. So I've been thinking about, I have all these thoughts in my head of things that I want to do this year in 2025, but I'm only going to do one thing. I'm only going to focus on doing one one thing, doing it well, and then I can add something else. As a matter of fact, I was on Instagram and this lady on a short on Instagram was like, it was the 21st is when I saw this. She said, for the next 10 days, she goes, write 10 things that you want to do that are really big goals, like big things, and write them all down, cut them up, and put them all in a jar. And then every day, take one out and rip it up and put it away and throw it away or burn it. And then on January 1st, pull the last one out of the jar. And that's the thing you're going to focus on for the year. That will be your focus. And so there are 10 really big things that I want to work on. I want to write a children's book. I want to write an adult book, not like an adult book, like a nonfiction book is what I'm saying. Not a kinky book, friends, like a fiction book. I mean, a nonfiction book about our experience moving into transitioning into homeschooling. The children's book, I've already written the couplet. Now it has to be illustrated. So I've got that and I've got this, and I really want to make the website more robust. And like, there's all these things that I want to do. I want to hike Pikes Peak, but I can't focus on all of them because as people, we tend to overcrowd our brains. So focus on one thing. So on Wednesday, I have 2 papers left. I did it. I did what the lady said. And I'll find out on Wednesday what that one thing that I'll be focusing on this year is going to be, because my mind was so jumbled trying to decide that I was like, I'll just do this. I'll just do this, which you could do. So this is a perfect time to choose one thing that you might want to change, or, and then with your homeschooling for you, that is one thing that you want to change or do for you. And then it's a perfect time to start afresh with things. I've decided that there's some things that I want to change in our homeschooling. I want to start homeschooling in the basement more because that's where all the art supplies are. Now that might not seem like a big deal to you, but for me, like switching the area of where we homeschool down to the basement is kind of a big deal. And I'd like a little bit more structure, just a little bit more structure and rhythm to 3 of our days. That's something I realized that I need to shift. And I've started looking at different enrichment programs for my kids. There's some that I've liked and some that my kids have liked. I don't really love this one. Can we switch it up? So this is a perfect time to switch things up, to start afresh, to declutter the things, get rid of the things that are old that you don't need in your life anymore, whether that's physical things or mental things or, weight or whatever. This is the time to let go of some of those things and start fresh and anew. Maybe you want to try, you've been doing homeschooling one way, but now you're like, I would really like to try doing it the Charlotte Mason way or unit studies. Great. This is the time. And it's a perfect time to do it because it's a new year, and try it. It's great. And if you haven't started homeschooling, this is a great time to start the deschooling process. So that was my thoughts today, this is a perfect time to start anew. It's a fresh start and it feels great. And even though cleaning my carpets was super stressful, I'm really glad we did it. And because I've been able to declutter a whole lot of things emotionally too, with getting rid of those clothes. So, I love you, my friends. I'm super excited. Next week, I'm going to be issuing a very fun, simple challenge. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to be participating in the challenge myself. Simple. It'll be something that you can do with your kids that will help build the relationship. There might be some argument at the beginning, but if you're not already doing it, but I'm excited to share that with you. That's for next week. It'll be another short podcast. And then we've got a lineup of interviews coming. That's one of the things I have to do this week is get everyone scheduled because I've spoken with them all. Now I have to actually get them on the schedule. So super excited. You guys are doing far better than you think you are. Give yourself some grace. You got this, mamas and papas, grandmas and grandpas. We'll talk next week. If you enjoyed this today, please like and subscribe. You could also join our private Facebook group at School to Homeschool or sign up for our newsletter at www.schooltohomeschool. Have a great day.